We are not more than 1 minute and 11 seconds into John Dehlin's thing.
Oh, yeah.
Before it has been utterly, we've mopped the floor with his channel intro. John Dehlin's got a new channel.
Yeah.
And here, let's actually, we can just dive right in here.
Yeah, let's watch
this
video.
Yeah, let's just check it out. John Dehlin's got a brand new toy. So anyway, here we go. Let's check it out, bro. Let's check it out.
It's born in the church or whether it's an adult that converts to Mormonism. They are all converted to the Mormon church based on the claim that it's the one true church on the earth.
Yeah, that's you, Kwaku.
Yeah. I joined the church right when I graduated high school.
Rock
I
on.
believe it's the one true church on earth.
Okay, let's keep going. So what's the problem with this? Let's see what he says.
Not merely on the fact that it's good or just a good way to raise your family.
Okay, that's cool, but you can kind of also be both, right? I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with thinking I've got the best gym in town, but it's not like you can't do push-ups elsewhere.
It's funny
When
how
a
it's,
child-
he's saying like, well, you don't join the church based on the fact that you just think it has good principles. Yeah, I know. Who's saying we do?
And here's the thing, like literally this argument is that there are no truest churches. Like that's what he's trying to say, is that there is no fully true church, right? So why wouldn't you join the one that you think is the most true? That's the most obvious thing that you would do. Like everyone joins the church they think is the most
It's
true.
like dieting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I really don't think there's much of a difference between spiritual health and physical health. And all of the analogies against the Mormon church are the same as analogies against exercise programs and diets.
Yeah.
Like, you can't condemn somebody for saying, like, yeah, the best diet for me, and the one that I actually think is most scientifically accurate based on nutritional science, is the blank diet. Because I've done my research, and I've had a personal experience with this diet.
But Cardi,
and look at me, I'm ripped. Bad example here. Better example on
diets
Kwaku.
can be harmful. They can hurt your mental health. And they can cause you to feel less than, and you don't matter.
Well, some can, but that's usually an excuse by fat people who just want to call you a fat shamer if you say you need to lose weight.
Oh, so you're saying that attacking like institutions or ideas that are inherently good for people, you can always attack them and try to find something bad about it?
So this is basically like somebody who's just decided that they have to destroy like the food pyramid.
Yeah.
They're just like, guys, the food pyramid, it's a utter lie, utter falsehood. Like grains, horrible for you, right? You anyone who says that any of these things are good for you.
Patriarchy, let me tell you, it's really bad, man.
Patriarchy. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what he says. Okay, John Dehlin, back at you,
A
brother.
child or a teenager is raised in the church, or when an adult talks to the
Well, yeah, if a child or teenager is raised in the church, scientifically, they are found to be far more well-adjusted in society because religious families have rites of passage and give an identity to a child that makes it so he's better adjusted in society. Like hundreds of years of sociological data suggest the very same.
missionaries and is converted to the Mormon church, they are taught the following things.
Okay,
They're taught that the Mormon church is God's one and only true church on.
Sweet. Nothing wrong with that.
Also, like every other church also teaches that they're the only true. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, actually, no, there are a couple. Like, I mean, there's a lot of new
the
wave people.
Episcopalians. You know what I mean? Like Islam, Catholicism. You know, like the big wigs.
Like
They
people
all
of
think
the
they're right.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason.
Well, you can't say bigwigs just based on population, or else Joseph Smith.
Who's out there
starting
protesting the
his
Presbyterian church across the street? They're not one of the big
Yeah, I
wigs.
like the Presbyterian.
300 years ago, they were a big
churches.
wig. Literally.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, keep going.
the earth. They're taught that the current LDS church and its leaders speak directly for God, along with its local leaders.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Yeah, it's like the Pope.
By the way, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Like, he's a leader. Like, could you imagine going to a gym, once again, where the gym owner was a fat slob and was like, I don't know how, like, these weights work, dude. Like, and to be honest with you, like, I don't even like them. You want a donut? You know what I'm saying?
You want to give it even more, like give it even a little more credibility. Let's say you go to the gym and you have like your workout plan and you go to the instructor and he's like, yeah, I think that should be, I guess. No, tell me if it's good or not, man.
Seriously, because it's like it's not even the owner of the gym; it's the literal personal trainer. Because like it's that guy coming in telling you, "Oh, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can lift this. I don't know how, but go for it, right?
A criticism that the leader of the church claims to know what he's talking about I think falls on most sane and rational people's deaf ears.
They are taught that other churches are false or inferior.
Does this guy not know
see
how
Exhibit
religion
A.
works? Does this guy like never heard? Like,
By the way, we don't say that other churches are inferior.
no, we don't.
Okay, as a pejorative, all right? It is one thing to say we have authority, all right? That does, in the scriptures itself, if you read the New Testament, there's stories where the apostles came up to Jesus and said, hey, there's these other people casting out devils and performing miracles in their name. And he says, if they're not against us, then they are with us. You know, there's tons, like the Magi themselves weren't claimed to have the priesthood, yet they were the first that recognized the divinity of Christ and came to worship him and give him gifts, besides obviously Mary and Joseph, all right? So just this idea that we are the one true church would be based upon the fact that we have the true authority also doesn't even mean that we get it right all the time. Like we don't need a doctrine of continuing personal and church-wide revelation through the prophet if we got it right the first time.
Also,
You know?
also, I want to add in something real quick.
Okay.
1978, first presidency, the top leadership of our church said this: the great religious leaders of the world, such as Muhammad, Confucius, and the reformers, as well as philosophers, including Socrates, Plato, and others, received a portion of God's light. Moral truths were given to them by God to enlighten whole nations and bring a higher level of understanding to individuals. That doesn't sound like we're calling them those inferior
Like,
individuals.
yeah,
You know what I
listen-
mean? It's like, no.
Like, listen again to what John Dehlin says. And like, it's a complete and utter and total misrepresentation of what we believe.
Current LDS Church and its leaders speak directly for God, along with its local leaders.
Yeah, okay, well, that's what we're
They're
basically
taught
saying.
that other churches are false or inferior.
I have never heard a sermon as a lifetime member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have never heard from the pulpit ever it said other churches are inferior.
Yeah.
It's always a positive message of we are blessed with additional light and knowledge.
Yes.
Which is a complete and total different approach to religiosity.
This is just him twisting the teachings about the apostasy and the loss of truth and trying to make it seem like we're saying everyone who came before Joseph Smith was a horrible person who's going straight to hell.
You know, and the sad thing is, like, these guys, I've said this before, but they don't end up refuting Mormon scripture. They end up fulfilling it. Because, when it says, like, the devil is miserable as unto himself and wants to make you miserable, I'm like, why else would you misrepresent the largest faith group in your society, John Dehlin, if not, you're not spreading cheer. I mean, you're not religious Santa Claus. So why are you doing this? What's the motivation behind it? And you can't say, oh, it's saving people from this big bag dragon, when by and large, scientifically, when polled, Mormons are happier, live longer, have better adjusted children. Like, it kind of makes you look, kind of makes me think you're a little bit miserable. You're a little bit angry. I would say it's a midlife crisis.
Cardi,
You know
why
what I'm
are you
saying? But
gaslighting ex-Mormons and saying that they're miserable just because they, you know, I want to, what does this guy do around election season every 4 years? Can you believe that the Democrats have said that they're the best political party and you should vote for? Yeah, you know what? Comparison exists when making a choice.
yeah, and at least, hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I give this guy credit. If he's trying to take down the church and he's cheating, I give him credit for cheating.
Cheating like
You know what I'm
like
saying?
in this way or like on a boat? Doesn't matter. Okay,
Oh,
keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
So you're a savage, Kwaku. You're a savage. All right, here
They're
we go.
taught that only Mormon baptisms count in heaven.
Yeah, and the Catholic Church said that Mormon baptisms don't count in their faith. So fine, until you start making anti-Catholic videos because a church claims to have authority and that a religious ordinance is performed with that authority, I don't think you understand how religion or team sports function.
You know what? I
know?
cannot believe
Taught
that
that
the
only-
LDS Church would not give me my seminary degree because I got a bar mitzvah, right? And I just say, can I use my bar
Yeah.
mitzvah in place of the seminary?
Although, to be
No.
honest with you, you could probably convince CES officials to give you, like, your average kid that graduated from catechism or graduated from, learning Hebrew at Hebrew school would probably be a shoo-in for a CES half-credit, seminary degree, because they would hand those things out to anybody that spoke Aramaic and or Hebrew like
for sure.
cookies. Okay, here we go.
Mormon marriages count in heaven. They're taught that the Book of Mormon
Okay,
is...
wait. only
Okay.
Mormon marriages count in heaven. Literally, there are ceremonies that say, till death do us part.
Yeah.
What-
Okay. Yes.
Why is this bad?
Yeah. You can't claim that because a plumber shows up and saying, "Hey, I'm a licensed plumber who has the authority to fix your bad plumbing because you installed a bad valve," that the plumber is the bad person, because there are many religions that take what the Apostle Paul says in the New Testament. In fact, I would say the vast majority of Protestant faiths in North America take the doctrinal approach that marriage is an earthly affair. And so if we say it's not just an earthly affair, but a celestial affair, and therefore it's a celestial marriage, you can't say that we're the bad guys.
Actually, I want to real quick, Brad. The thing is, there's a difference between they say the pulpit and the pew, right? The guy at the pulpit believes. I mean, we're talking about our other Christian friends, that your marriage ends in this life. The guys in the pews who are married don't think that. And so when you've got random Christians listening to this who are not these theologically trained people in Anglicanism or whatever, they're going, Mormons don't believe they'll be married in the next life. No. Our doctrine states that you can be sealed together in the temple, and we actually get sealed on behalf of those who died who weren't LDS.
Yeah, and by the way,
you can be married in the next
Why
life.
would all of our genealogy be so specific to families that were married? Like, why would all these old people that huddle into the basements of all of these temples with the microfilm machines, you know what I'm saying, trying to look up all these marriage records, why would that matter so much to us? And the redemption of the dead, why would we be constantly be doing genealogy if marriage didn't matter? That's a massive logical fallacy coming from a guy whose logo is literally half a brain. You know what I'm saying? It's like, by the way, guys, we are not more than 1 minute and 11 seconds into John Dehlin's thing.
Oh, yeah.
Before it has been we've mopped the floor with his channel intro. He should have just started out saying, look, are you angry at Mormonism too? Well, you found a safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he really should have just said that. Let's keep going.
Superior to the Bible. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is an ancient history of the nation.
No,
Did
no,
you say
no,
the
no.
Book of Mormon is superior to the Bible?
Yes.
We're taught that the Book of Mormon supports the Bible.
He's using words like superior to just be a little bit. It's like most correct.
No.
Superior.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
correct only in its translation, but in its value as scripture, that's kind of like you can't get higher than an A+. A+ is the best grade you can get. So if we're out there and we're rating, just like Dallin H. Oakes said, like, certain authors were the minor prophets, and, we had different prophets come, and I can't remember which apostle it was, but he said that everybody should read Don Quixote. And Thomas S. Monson, notoriously said, if all the apocryphal stories are true, that the closest he's found in secular literature to the closest to the redemption story of Christ that he found was in Les Miserables, and everybody should read the story of the priest giving the candlestick to Les Miserables because he thought it was one of the better examples of the atonement. Like, if you're out there and you're literally saying that some authors are minor prophets and that scenes in Les Miserables are godly and divinely inspired, and you're giving them all grades, A+ is as big as it gets. So the Bible, except for maybe Song of Solomon, A+. You know what I'm saying? Like, A+, except for those last maybe 13 verses in Mark that we figured out might be forged. A+, all right? You know what I'm saying?
Here's something that I think is crazy about this particular claim. We have the Book of Mormon as another testament of Jesus Christ. It's like on the front of the book.
Not
another
the better testament of Jesus Christ. Another,
it's literally another. It's like, this is like the Bible. We're not saying this is the only Bible and there can be no Bible, right?
Right.
So exactly. I mean, if you're giving grades to scriptures, the Bible gets an A+, divinely inspired. Book of Mormon gets an A+. If you were literally to go to a math teacher, sociology professor, hey, one of your favorite, women's studies or whatever professors, and say, hey, this guy gave me an A+, and he says, my grade is superior to your A+ that you gave me. The teacher would look at you and say, do you need help? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you need help figuring this out, child? Let's keep
Marriages
going.
count in heaven. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is superior to the Bible. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is an ancient history of the Native Americans.
Wait, pause.
They're
We
taught
can't hear it.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it?
No.
Oh, what? That's a travesty. Hold on. I'm going back. I apologize for that
I need this
one.
in my life, Carden.
Okay, here we go.
Only Mormon marriages count in heaven. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is superior to the Bible. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is an ancient history of the Native Americans. They're
Okay,
taught
cool.
that the Native Americans
By the way, let's hope if you don't believe that Daniel was actually a real prophet or that Jesus Christ was a real person with historical significance on earth, you'd be a really crappy Christian. So I don't really see how that's necessarily a bad
Also,
thing.
remember, he this is the thing he just says. They're taught that the Book of Mormon is an ancient record of the Native Americans, of some, and that's the difference because you can take that brush and you can be like, they believe all the Native Americans came. No.
Uh-huh.
We have a book about a few tribes.
And he's sitting here putting out these half-truths to make it seem like when we defend ourselves, oh, we're the ones who are twisting words, right?
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
That's
Yeah.
true. Here, let's keep going. John Dehlin.
Americans were cursed with dark skin because of their wickedness.
Wait, no, here we
Americans. The Book of Mormon is an ancient history of the Native Americans. They're taught that the Native Americans,
By the way, dude, like, you could totally catch him cheating on the teleprompter right
Native
here.
Americans were cursed with dark skin
Oh, there it is. I don't know why, but that's just still funny to me. It's
Yeah.
still funny. Let's keep going.
because of their wickedness. They're taught that for the most part,
No, that is an oversimplification. It's like saying To Kill a Mockingbird teaches that black people have it coming if they bust up a shiffer rope. No, that's not. That's not. No, you don't. I'm sorry. No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just a misrepresentation in literally the most cynical way possible. And the sad thing is, really, anti-Mormonism has become a religion in and of itself. And
Yeah.
as Mormons, similar to the First Amendment, we believe in letting men worship how, where, and what they may. Correct. Pretty much with the caveat that as long as it's like real religion, it's positive, right? You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, the guy in the jail that's filing for release because it's the Spaghetti Monsters Festivus or whatever, we obviously don't take as sincerely held beliefs, right? But something that is common amongst all religions of sincerely held beliefs is a positive engagement with God.
Right.
One that improves your life because you're fasting regularly, or you're on top of your finances because you're paying tithing, or you're volunteering, or you're releasing oxytocin as you get closer to your children, and so on and so forth. And all of these experiences have a positive effect. With the exception of some people that say, release from massive guilt, because I think honestly, OCD and some mental illnesses can really make it difficult if you're a religious person. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot to latch onto, and those kind of people need help. And that's why there are LDS family services and so on and so forth. But with the exception of some people I've met who are genuinely like not participating in religion, seem to have kind of relieved some kind of mentally stressful burden. The vast majority have drastically improved lives.
Right.
So you can't go along and say that by tearing down the thing that makes them be better adjusted, makes them cope better in difficult situations, gives them a community group that helps them through those tough times. You can't be actively trying to tear that down and say that you're going to be a positive effect on them. So it kind of makes you wonder if that's not a false religion, aka false idol, aka another fulfillment of scripture. Keep going.
women should not pursue their education too far or make too many plans about their career because their most important job is to stay home and be mothers and wives.
Wait. He literally, okay, we have a professional female photographer in the room right now. Like literally in the room right now is my favorite photographer who will go nameless so that the anti-Mormons don't go after you. But we literally, if you go back and you hate watch this, you're going to see a promotional photographer walking through the room who I guarantee you has never been told. I did not call her up and say, you really shouldn't come and take amazing photos because by merit, I think you're the best photographer in our city. You really should be home. There is no, just because you say, Carden, as a father, your biggest responsibility on this earth as a child of God is how you fulfill your role as husband and father. That does not mean I can't make podcasts and be a great podcaster too. Mm-hmm. That does not mean that I can't go out and make great movies too.
Oh, yeah. You want to know, there's a really famous quote. It's like there's two quotes. The first is, you educate a man, you educate a man. You educate a woman, you educate a generation. The other one is,
a famous quote by who? Who said that?
Wait, here's the last one. If I had to choose between educating my sons or my daughters, I'd choose my daughters. You know who said that?
Who?
Susan B. No, Brigham Young. Brigham Young. That frogmo. That progressive Bernie loving more. What? No. The second prophet of our church, the one who led all the LDS people to Deseret, which became Utah. That guy. Mm-hmm. Granted, he had like 40 wives. You have to be a little bit feminist.
That's why you're teaching the nation, because you have 40 wives.
You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
But still.
So yeah, and by the way, that is immediately refuted by the fact, go to the church office building. Yeah. Is it a bunch of dudes employed by the church?
And here's the thing.
Dude, I work in film restoration. Half of these historians and curators are all phenomenally educated women by what? The church educational system.
And he goes through and says they should forego their education up to a certain point, right? So he makes this super vague statement that he could
and
try
it's
to
so
defend no matter what.
unscientific. Did you know that studies prove that a child's educational level is more positively correlated to the mother's education level than the father's educational level? Meaning your kids have a better chance of getting their PhD, their master's, or their bachelor's degree, dependent upon whether or not the mother has the PhD, master's degree, or bachelor's degree, not the father. So the church has always been going after trying to get females their education. Go through any chapel, and what do you see on the wall? If you quit during college,
Yeah.
we'll frickin' give you an online degree free, paid for by the Church Perpetual Education Fund. All right. And then on top of that, go to BYU. What percentage of post-grads are males? Anybody know?
I don't know.
No, the majority are women. In America, in some areas, it's 85% of postgraduates are females. In the church educational system, it's especially in some degrees, holy smoke. You know what I'm saying? But you cannot make this claim based upon any kind of scientific data. And I find that ironic coming from a guy who claims science is on his side.
And
Mormon
he
youth
tries
are
to make it seem like the church is sitting there saying women should not be educated, right? When I think you probably had some people in the 50s, like general people from this past time in an era where they're thinking, hey, you know what, woman's
But that's
place
American
is in the home.
society, not church doctrine.
It's not the church that's teaching this. Like, the proclamation on the family doesn't say women are not to be educated. It is,
like, you could literally criticize like leisure suits being worn to church in the 70s as the hideous crime that against humanity that it really was. Okay, but at the end of the day, that was American cultural fashion talking, not church doctrine. No offense to any leaders of the church that wore leisure suits to church.
Also,
except
let me
that you're a
say,
fashion
I've
criminal.
met some of the female leaders of our church. Jean B. Bingham, Sharon Eubanks. These are very educated, incredible women. We have female leaders of our church. The Relief Society presidency. Their building is next to the Salt Lake Temple, the capital of our church.
But you forget, Mormonism is so bigoted that they were the first place in the United States to give women the vote.
And besides, everybody knows that the priesthood is for guys in the Mormon church just so we maintain our relevance. That we would immediately cease to be relevant in the Mormon church because the women run everything so much better. That it's kind of like God saying, like, come on, guys, we won't kick you out of the club. Like, we're going to make this like
so you're not all working on the Break the Fast committee.
Yeah, exactly. You know, let's keep going.
They need to dedicate 2 years of their lives to serving a mission, delaying their education. When you return from
Yeah, once again, because guys are the idiots that need it, right?
And here's another thing. I can't think of something that was more positively impactful in my life than my mission. Like, going out and serving for 2 years made
Not
me
getting
a
married.
much
Watch out,
better
your
student.
wife is listening, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I can't believe the Mormon church would take its young members and have them grow and become mature and talk to people and convert people and help people and do missionary work for 2 years and put off their own educations, then come back to a church school that's incredibly subsidized and is very cheap, where they can receive a very high-end education and get married and get a very good job. What's the bad thing here? Yeah, we send people off to do good? Wow, what a terrible idea.
All right, let's keep going. Dude, this is actually kind of fun. And we're only 1 minute and 39 seconds in. We should have had a scoreboard where we're just counting like the fallacies or the misrepresentations, but we didn't. I'm a little bit disappointed in this, guys. Let's keep
your
going.
mission, you're taught that you should get married immediately, as fast as you can, and have as many kids as you possibly can.
No.
What?
No.
Immediately, as fast as you can, and have as many kids as you possibly can?
Okay,
You buy birth control once, you're excommunicated, let me tell you.
Yeah. No, I will say there is a cultural pressure from a slightly Midwestern influenced and seeming kind of people in Utah to get married early that is augmented by the fact that our faith professes your role as a father and as a family member is superior to your role as a professional or as a social media influencer or as pretty much anything else in life. So yes, there's naturally going to be, I would say, a societal sense that like, okay, when you do come back from your mission, if you serve, or once you've reached young adulthood, you know, like serious up a little bit and try and become the greatest fulfillment of that progress. Like if we really believe in eternal progress and that the end of that progress is, you know, fatherhood, motherhood, family, nuclear family units, and so on and so forth. There's really this question that's more like, what are you waiting for? It's not go do it. Mm-hmm. It's more like, what are you waiting for? And those are two different things.
And the way that he puts this in is almost like the church handbook says, if you're not having children immediately, you are sinning. Which isn't even close to what it says, right? Like bishops talk to people about how you counsel as a family when you're going to have your children, right? This is it's crazy.
All right, so let's keep going. Let's see what JD, homeboy JD, has to say. Oh no, buffering. It's God's curse. You know what I'm saying? That's it. We knew it. It's buffering.
Mormon youth are taught that premarital sex is next to murder in terms of sin.
What?
Mormons are taught that being gay or lesbian or bisexual
You know how
or
many
transgender
BYU and UVU students I know personally who are getting it in? I don't know what you want me to say. And you know how many times they've been said they're next to murder? 0. You know what's next to murder? Trying to murder someone. Yeah. That's what's next to murder.
Attempted murder.
Yeah.
I mean, next to murder. Now, look, here's the deal. I have heard vague comparisons where people have been asked, like, oh, what's the worst sin? In the same way when I was a kid, we would say, Dad, who's the richest man on earth? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, as legalistic Westerners, we oftentimes try and approach the gospel in a two-dimensional kind of way. But I can also, for every single time I ask my dad, like, so what's like the worst sins in order of sin? And he was probably like, I'd imagine, you know, murder, attempted murder, maiming somebody. First off, if we did have the legalistic approach, I'm actually pretty sure fornication would actually be on like 5th or 6th, okay?
Yeah.
But also, how many times have we gone to church where the person has had the stacks of dominoes that showed the worst sins in order, but they're glued together, so when you pull them over, in the eyes of God, they all look the same, and there's purity and impurity. You know, like, I mean... So there's no way, unless you absolutely, utterly try to jump out of the way of the freight train of truth, that you could misinterpret how we teach gradients of sin. You know what I'm saying? And there has been a couple of quotes where, like, prophets, when asked, like, okay, you know, what do you think is the second worst? They've probably said, oh, fornication, not because they're trying to condemn fornicators into the same, you know, trough as murderers and have them stoned in pits like in like ancient, you know, Arabia, okay, but because they're simply trying to emphasize that you're messing with the powers of God and the powers of creation. Therefore, you will soon, if abused, be bringing another life into this world under less than optimal circumstances, which then might make you indirectly liable for some of their problems.
I take a little bit different of an approach. So,
well, that means you're a bad person.
Well, no, and it's like we're both
There's no
active
room for
members.
disagreement in
Yeah,
this
I'm totally
cult.
kidding.
No, well, I mean, think about it, right? Like we pull this from the Sine Coriantum, right? In the Book of Mormon, and he's a missionary, goes off, gets with the harlot Isabel, lies to people, steals, does all the really bad things, and all together, those things are next to murder, right? Him, like Dehlin, who, you know, got a little handsy after the Corner Canyon High School prom, is not next to Ted Bundy. He's not. He's not.
And we're looking at this from Alma, who
Yeah.
saw himself as the most grievous of sinners talking to his own son, right? And he is like the one talking about these things, not sitting there saying like anybody who has ever had any sort of sexual transgression of any kind, basically murderers.
And there's also a difference between like sexual sin is anything from an impure thought to like grabbing a boob to like, you know, like it's a number of things.
That is going to be a meme, by the way.
I know.
I
They're
really
gonna love
hope
that. But it's
that
true.
gets clipped and becomes a meme.
But it's in it. Impure thoughts to like raping, murdering bodies like a Bundy or like that, right? Like that's a very large thing. And so when most of the time in the church when people talk about fornication being next to murder, usually every time I've heard it, it's about adultery, cheating on your wife or husband, right?
Yeah.
Something like that which will destroy your family is such a horrible sin, such a horrible mentally scarring and emotionally scarring thing to do to someone. Sorry, you messed up at prom and you went to the bishop on Sunday, it's not next to murder. And every time antis address this, they specifically just use this giant like swath of it could be this, could be an impure thought, could be a murdering someone, and they say, yeah, it's all next to murder. It's not. You know what's next to murder. Not the guy watching this.
All right, so let's keep going here. Let's keep going with JD.
Is evil in the eyes of God.
By the way, it's kind of disappointing, A, that he's looking at the teleprompter like this. You know what I'm saying? But B, with that new hat and this new camera, he looks like he might actually be a cool dad.
He looks like he'd work for Vivint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looks like one of the upper like Vivint or Green X guys with the hat. You know, what I
this
mean?
is the first time I've looked at him and I thought, like you actually you got some, actually I always thought John Dehlin was a handsome guy, and it was a little bit disappointing that he chose to go down this road. But here, you know what I'm saying? Whoever made that Thrive logo, I'm happy to see him after all these years putting some serious cash down on, you know, his image, shall we say.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see what he says.
Mormon children, youth, and adults are taught that they should give 10% of their income for the rest of their lives to...
That's not just Mormons. That's the frickin' Bible.
Tithing.
That is literally 2,000 years of Christianity who have read about Melchizedek, who is paid by prophets their tithing. We read that in the book of Acts. We read that in, the widow's mite. Like, church donations are not a Mormon thing.
And he paints it like it's so nefarious for us to give of our surplus, right? Of our increase to the church to give to other people who are poor and in like bad circumstances, right? Like these funds go to help the poor. They go to help the needy.
Did John Dehlin serve a mission?
I don't know.
I don't know if I don't know.
Because anybody that's been to the church overseas knows that, except for like some seriously wealthy places, you know, throughout, you know, possibly Europe and some of the really wealthy wards in South America. And, you know, actually every continent obviously has major wealthy sections and urban environments and stuff like that. But I mean, anybody that's served in any of these poor districts knows that this ain't a net positive on the church.
Like,
for 99% of these financial transactions.
And the thing that's crazy to me is, like, you look at people who are called as leaders in the church who have any sort of salary involved with them.
Yeah.
Like, they are giving up so much money in
yeah.
order to serve as church
except for
leaders.
Boyd K. Packer. He was like the poor boy of the CES. You know what I'm saying? He's like hanging out with these dudes who are like, yes, I own the patent to the iron lung. Oh, yes, I invented jet fuel. Oh, yes, I have a financial dividend portfolio of, 500 billion. I wrote a book and I'm getting royalties because I was a seminary teacher. I was a seminary teacher.
There we go. I was on a corn farm.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, well, we got to keep going, seeing what JD has to say.
Yeah.
the church. And that no matter what, you should always raise your children in the church.
Well, let's hope so. If you were a healthy individual who was regularly exercising and played sports and was living a longer life, had consistent stools, good teeth because you were brushing regularly, let's hope that you are passing that along to your children and raising them in the same mental and physical health regimen.
Yeah.
You're a crappy parent if you're living a great life with great teeth and your kids got cavities.
It's like the guy who's sitting there saying, you know what? You need to let your children figure out that they can burn themselves on the stove. Like, you shouldn't teach them not to touch it. You need to put their hand there. You need to have them grabbing the stove, right? Like, bear traps. I don't need to step in a bear trap. I'm glad people have told me stepping in a bear trap is bad for you, right? Like, this is insane to say teaching truth to people is bad.
And here's the thing: this is the most dangerous. I think this is a dangerous thing he says, because the fabric of our society and what we enjoy as Westerners are these Judeo-Christian ethics. Raising your child with the identity of his people. In this case, it's the Mormon people, the Mormon identity. That's a good thing. Jews do this very well. Catholics do this very well. When you say, hey, this is our tribe. Everybody likes a tribe. If you don't believe everyone likes a tribe, go live in Texas like I did and meet military families. People like tribes, okay? Our
they're not a
tribe
bad
is
thing.
Mormon. I want to raise my kids in the tribe where they have the
Well, and the
community,
other
they
thing
have the
is-
culture, they have the history.
Yeah, he acts like they don't let you leave. Please, not only do we let you leave, we don't require compulsory church attendance. We count you if
We
you're
let you
there.
make YouTube channels against us.
Yeah,
you know what I
we
mean?
literally, we let you make YouTube channels against us, and then we pray for you. We pray for you, and we bake you cookies when you leave, John Dehlin. Like, this is beyond dishonest. It is factually false. Like, we bake you mother freaking cookies, dog. Still, you got a cool hat. I'll give you that.
To believe as faithful Mormons. In summary, all of this matters for two main reasons.
Okay, why?
Number one, the terms of the
By the way, if it matters for two of very important reasons, you shouldn't have to be looking at a teleprompter to remember them.
contract for which people join or stay in the church are based on the church being true, not just on it being good. Two main reasons. Number one, the terms of the contract for which people join or stay in the church are based on the church being true, not just on it being good. And
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's half true. We say from the pews, and the scriptures also say this, that we know half of you are pew warmers and are, quote, going through the motions and are doing it because it's just good for community reasons or secular reasons. But if we're doing our job right and we get you to a better spiritual place, you will hopefully have that celestial understanding. But we don't require that from the very beginning. You know what I'm saying?
And he's sitting here with saying that the church is true in kind of the way that I think we mean the gospel is true, right?
Yes.
And we believe that the prophets give us the exact gospel, and as the mouthpiece of God, they're able to give us the truth, right?
Right.
But he's like, I think kind of expanding that here to be like, the whole entire thing, everything Mormonism has ever done is going to be purely flawless.
To be
right?
honest with you,
Yeah.
this brother needs to quit being an apologist and get into politics. Because the way CNN skews what Republicans say and the way that Fox News skews what Democrats say, just taking the absolute worst, most cynical, like he literally said you should suck the blood of children and then sell it, there's this level of just absolutely incorrect manipulation of commonly known sound bites and doctrines would make him a lot more money in politics.
Oh, yeah.
Than in rural Utah apologetics. But let's keep going.
second, incredibly important life decisions are made within the context of the church.
Wait, yeah, no duh! No duh! Like, who you gonna marry? Wait, so like, is he gonna make literally an anti-Semitic video that says, Jewish people, their parents tell them, "Are you marrying within the tribe, Joseph? Are you marrying within the tribe?" Like, what?
Yeah.
Like what?
Why
So if
is
you're a
it-
Catholic that wants to go to Notre Dame, your church is oppressive? If you're a Mormon that wants to go to BYU, then the church is oppressive?
This boils down to it is bad for people who have had good things in their lives to
Yep.
pass that on to other people. Like, guidance is evil. That's
Yeah.
literally what he's saying.
Yeah, it's
Go-
so
Okay, we're not 2 minutes and 18 seconds in. I'm going to rewind 2 seconds. We got to listen to that one again.
Based on the church being true, not just on it being good. And second, incredibly important life decisions are made
By the way, do you notice that he bobs his head with every single word? Incredibly, life decisions are made. It's actually kind of cool.
within the context of the church. Again, not based on the church simply being good, but on the church being exactly what it claims to be. We're talking decisions
By the way, never, ever in church doctrine do we claim to be exactly perfect, exactly true. Else, why would we have all these clauses of continued revelation? Else, why would we say Moroni's promise? Else, why would we say everything on this earth is fallen? And guess what else is on this earth? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So via our own church doctrine, we know our church is in its own fallen state, perfecting itself as we fulfill the mission statement of the church and seek both communal and personal revelation. Brad, you had something to say.
I read the Doctrine and Covenants, and half of it's just the Lord chastising the prophets. And hey, do better. Hey, stop messing up here. What are you, dumb? Like,
and I wonder, like, did he miss Uchtdorf's talk about how the restoration is still continuing? Like, has he listened to General Conference recently where they're talking about how we still have revelation coming down? Like, the fact that our church is based on God still speaking to us means that we're going to continue learning. Like, we're not just in this place where it's like capped. Mormonism, it's done. 1831, that's when God stopped talking to people, right? No. God still talks.
So, Kwaku, you got to tell me, I'm kind of new to this, like, apologist because you simply disagreed with them thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? But is this really, like, is he?
He's the best.
This is the guy?
He is the best he is their he's the quorum of the president of the quorum of the 12 apostates. He is like the
So people actually believe this.
Yeah.
And they look up to him as like a thought leader on this?
So
because
here's how
these
it
aren't
happens.
thoughts. These are like the most cynical misinterpretations I've ever heard of in my life.
For the most part, it's people who have decided they don't want to live the lifestyle, or they've been hurt or something, right? And
which is sad because there's a lot of jerks in a voluntary faith out there.
And just like anything else, just like my friend Cody, who I grew up with, who now identifies as one of the sons of the Confederates, neo-Nazi guys. Do you know why? Because the girl he got pregnant in high school left with his kid. He didn't go to college. He had a dead-end job. He became miserable and depressed. And then he met some KKK guy in Waller, Texas, who convinced him, your life didn't go down because of you. It was because of the blacks. People who are in fallen down sad places in life, who cannot admit that they are the source of their issues, have to make someone else a source. In this case, he's doing this, but it's the Mormons that are the bad ones.
And it's interesting because that's a core belief of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that we're responsible for our actions, right? That we have agency, right? We have moral agency. And this...
See, I like the Gordon B. Hinckley, just be nice to each other and love each other talks more than like the Dallin H. Oaks, like, you are responsible.
But what I'm saying with this is, like, this whole thing is trying to get people to believe that there's someone else out there who's responsible for their misery, right? Like, and it's generally people who aren't keeping the commandments well anyway that are being told that the commandments are bad. And then they're like, oh, okay, you know what? Those commandments are bad. It's me trying to have kept those commandments that made me sad, not me not keeping them well, right?
Okay, so we only have 12 more minutes left. We got to get through this.
Decisions like how much education to pursue, if at all. What types of careers to pursue,
by the way, how
if
much
at all.
education
Who and when
to
to
proceed.
date. Who to marry. When to marry. Decisions like
Okay, hold on. Let's rewind this.
simply
Listen to
being
this.
good, but on the church being exactly what it claims to be.
Okay.
We're talking decisions like how much education to pursue, if at all.
What is that, if at all? We have church lessons on the importance of education.
Yeah, like-
we thought it was so important. We've built universities.
Like, did he miss BYU? Like, the entire church-sponsored education.
Yeah,
like,
that's what's the strangest thing is these guys. If you're gonna hit
literally-
a church that doesn't have an educational thing, don't hit the. Hey, don't you guys own universities? Yeah, we're very pro-education. Yeah, don't you raise your teenagers and then make them get like a degree in seminary to show that they're reading the stuff? Yeah. Hey, don't you like really value Yeah. Since when are we like the dumb ones walking around? I ain't never read no book here in this town. That's not who we are.
All right. Okay, let's keep going.
Types of careers to pursue, if at
Well, what types of careers? Yeah, don't be a drug
He's gonna
dealer.
say if at all. He's gonna say if at all.
If at all.
Careers. Wait, play it.
all. Who and when to date. Who to marry. When to marry.
said it.
Who to exclude
Does he
from
know
your
that we don't have jobs?
Like he literally said, the church is telling you not to get a job. Oh, listen to this. This is epic. Oh, we got to do this. This is fun.
How much education to pursue, if at all. What types of careers to pursue, if at all.
Wait. Like maybe we'd say don't open a strip club. Yeah. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, although that would be really fun. Yeah, right.
delicious. Like,
dude, anybody
a
who
Mormon
edits
stripper
this is going to be
showing
like,
off the ankle.
that gets immediately taken out, you know? But still, at the end of the day, really, I mean, I remember a bishop being asked because we had a guy that did video production. He made the labels. You know what I'm saying? And he got a massive order from Playboy, and he actually asked his bishop. He's like, oh gosh, should I be doing this? Is this like a contribution? And he literally said, dude, go home and pray about it. Generally, in my opinion, as long as you're not viewing it or producing it, if it's legal and you're an incidental part of the industry, there's accountants that help balance books for legal casinos. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, go home and pray about it, but I wouldn't judge you because you're not the dude in the video, right? So look, there's plenty of people that are open, that are probably disagree with that bishop or not or whatever at the end of the day. But like, I mean...
And that's the thing that he seems to forget.
We're not saying don't get the job.
Yeah,
you know?
we have bishops over local areas who are judges in Israel to work with people and know their individual circumstance to help them there, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like the blanket church statement, like the prophet has come out and said, if you're not a doctor, you're going to hell, right? Like, this is not the church's MO. And it's not sitting there saying women can never get a job because they have to be moms.
You know how many
only.
yoga studios in Utah are owned by all of them? You know how many of those moms are making bank in Utah with their yoga and their health drink places? Go to Alpine Draper. Go to any of the valleys.
And mommy bloggers, dude.
Oh,
like they're
yeah.
making bank. Like, what is this? If at all. Like,
yeah, if at all. Look, and once again, it's kind of weird. Like, there's these types of people out here that think you can't talk about gender issues without being sexist. You can't talk about racial relations without being racist. You can't talk about homosexuality, about veganism, or about anything without being homophobic or veganist. Is that a word, veganist?
It should be.
I'm not sure, but we just made it up.
Vegan-phobic.
Anyway, let's keep going. We got like 5 minutes here.
Who and when to date? Who to marry?
Who and when to
when
date?
To
Yeah,
marry.
wait a second. Who and when to date? It is a meme. The dad who wants to see who his daughter's bringing home. That is a meme that predates the church.
Yeah.
All right? Let me tell you, as a guy that grew up in Glendale with nothing but freaking Middle Eastern people around, I knew if you showed up to the hot Middle Eastern person's house and they said, Abba, that meant dad was coming down the stairs. He was going to meet you. And if he liked you, you were offered coffee. And if not, you better not show up a second time. All right? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Of course, parents have a say in who their kids date. That's called good parenting.
Go to Texas. There's shirts that 16-year-old girls wear that are gifted on their 16-year-old birthday that says, my dad has a shotgun with shells with your freaking name on it.
Let me tell you something. If they had told me, he's acting like this is a very Mormon thing. Before I was ever a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, growing up in Texas, homecoming, having to go to the girl's house and pick her up, and daddy bootstraps there with his hat and his gun. You're here to take out Kelly? Yes, sir. I'll have her back by. Not a Mormon thing.
It's almost as if everyone in the world is Mormon because they're trying to tell their children.
Okay, wait. Let's listen.
Maybe don't date.
Let's
these
listen to
horrible
that one
people.
again. That one was good. We got to hear that
Like
one.
how
again.
much education to pursue, if at all.
Wrong.
What types of careers to pursue,
Wrong.
if at all. Who and when to date. Who to marry.
at all?
When to marry. Who to
marry, when to marry, that's all part of the same thing.
That's
Like,
called
honey,
I want him
you're
to say
getting
if at
married
all.
too early.
It's
You get
Western
married too
culture.
early.
That's a good, I don't see.
exclude from your wedding ceremony. How many children to have.
Wait,
Giving
pause,
10%.
pause.
Wait, yeah, who to exclude your wedding ceremony?
I think he had bad in-laws. I'm honestly, it's sounding like he had bad in-laws. It's
Yeah.
like, it's
No, because honestly, who to exclude from your wedding ceremony has like literally been family drama since we were Neanderthals cracking rocks.
Not after Thanksgiving, we're not inviting her. But I like Aunt Christine. She's going to get mad about it on Facebook. Yeah.
Percent of your income away for life. Giving your reputation to the church. Giving your time.
Wait, how is your reputation tied to the what? Your reputation is yours. You make it. Okay, that's what I
Mitt
don't get
Romney and
like-
Harry Reid both have very different reputations.
Yeah.
Both members of the church.
Is he trying to say something like being representatives of Christ in some way? Like, I don't get this criticism.
Yeah, neither do I. But we'll just roll with it. It's JD. You know.
Your income away for life. Giving your reputation to the church. Giving your time to the church. Giving your very life to the church.
Okay, your time. Yeah, if you participate in anything like a gym, you need to go work out every day.
LA Fitness is a cult.
Because, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I mean,
Tell you what you can and can't eat.
These stakes are incredibly high. You might say,
Wait, these stakes are incredibly high. Yeah, it's your life. Everything in your life stakes is high. Like,
The model in which you form your socialities around, yeah, that's whether it's with us or with anything else, it's going to be high stakes. This is who you are as a person.
It's high stakes to determine what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
okay, like, I don't get this gap, brother. Let's keep going.
many people have great experiences within Mormonism, so it doesn't matter. Or you might say, but the church creates great families. But if you say that, you're missing the point.
Okay, so what's the point? We're going to hear the point.
It is fundamentally immoral to sell or indoctrinate someone into and to have them build their entire lives around a system that is so demanding and so comprehensive.
You could say the same thing about CrossFit. You could literally say the same thing about yoga. You could literally say, how dare these yoga instructors say you need to wake up early and meditate and only drink healthy food and water and then pay for a hot yoga membership to our hot yoga gym. And even though you're getting skinny, it's increasing your life. You're showing more happiness. Your husband is more attracted to you. Your friends are more jealous of your physique and you're more at peace with yourself. It is fundamentally immoral to ask somebody to participate in something so demanding. It just doesn't make sense.
You know what's funny?
John.
Growing up, so in high school, I did theater, right? I was in
Okay.
the theater department, and there was like a group of students who were in every single show. So I was juggling 3-4 shows at once, right? I got to school at like 6:30 a.m. I left often at like 12 p.m. I was there all day.
Yeah.
My mom knew it. Everyone knew it. And my mother would say, yeah, this is what Kwaku likes to do. This is his thing. That's his thing. My friends who were not involved in extracurriculars, they would ask, like, dude, like, it's so much time you're just giving. And they were getting high behind the Cinemark, and they weren't doing anything. Sometimes in life, and maybe because we have a babied culture where everyone has to win now, you have to do demanding things.
Yeah.
Demanding things and giving your all to a thing is important for growth. It makes you have character. It makes you have dignity. It makes you have talent. These are important things. And if you take this logic and you stretch it as far as it goes, you're asking for a society of uncommitted people. And it's sad.
Oh, that's true. Actually, that's a really good way of doing it. Because if you believe in nothing, you simultaneously believe in everything. And if you believe in everything, you simultaneously believe in nothing. So you got to commit. So, okay, so we unfortunately only have 2 minutes here. Last 2 minutes of Dr. John Dehlin.
Have them build their entire lives around a system that is so demanding and so comprehensive under false or misleading pretenses. If you claim that the Mormon Church is true, you better be right and you better be able to prove it.
Okay, but hold on a second.
Why?
Yeah.
What do you mean prove the church is true? Prove a guy walked on water? What? Hey, prove you didn't have sex with Rosebud on the ship. Like what do you mean prove? Prove that... This is idea. This is
Well, we have a lot of data. Like, by the way, if he's saying prove it,
you
okay,
can only
well,
prove math.
no,
You
yeah,
need
but
evidence,
hold on. There's
but,
measurable
like-
quantifiers here. By the way, he's using the colloquial term, and I believe in being as intellectually honest and giving the benefit of the doubt to other people if we demand that from them. So when he says you better be able to prove it, I think what he's trying to say is there better be evidence that your claims are correct. And I would actually say there's overwhelming evidence. Utah, for 200 years, has been overwhelmingly influenced by the general Judeo-Christian and Mormon ethos of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is currently the #1 state for business. Okay, you look at Mormon families. There's been study after study. The old Harvard study done in the 60s, modern studies done in the 80s and 90s, all the way up until ones done 5 or 6 years ago that show that on average, Mormons, due to the word of wisdom, live longer, happier, healthier lives. Their marriages last longer. Yes, there's a subset of people that get divorced and married 2, 3, 4, 5 times that make it so that our marriage rate's like 55% while the world is like 49. But still, there is that 6%. And when you dive deeper into the numbers, you find out that if it weren't for that subset of charlatans, they're doing the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th over and over and over, like my dad's ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, you realize that you are so much more overwhelmingly prepared for a good, happy life as a family, statistically, with prove it, measurable quantifiers, John Dehlin, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, than pretty much in any other faith out there except for some Orthodox Judaism and, equivalently demanding faiths. And the same could be said about physical health.
Yeah.
The guys that are in the best physical health, I'm sorry, they often go to the gym every day. There's just no way around it. So anyway, we've already reached the time here. Kwaku, you got anything last to say? We're going to have to do the rest of this another day.
No, I thank you for watching Midnight Mormons.
I think we should continue this and we should watch the rest of the video and other parts, because the truth is, this is kind of like a condensed what anti-Mormonism is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shotgun. And we're mopping the floor with this first, 3 minutes and 23 seconds? We could do like a 3-part series on this. You know what?
Seriously.
Like, share, subscribe, and we'll get that to you. This is Midnight Mormons.